Hi, and welcome to On the Couch Conversations with Brenda Porter. Today's guest is the marvelous Robert Connor. Hello, Robert, and welcome. To you out there, all do the things that you're supposed to do: subscribe, comment below, like us, do all of those kinds of things. And I'm sure you will want to do all of those kinds of things with my conversation with Robert. So, you graduated from Morehouse, and then you got with your BA, and then you got a master's from the University of Georgia. Is that right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. And with film, and you are the founder of Dominion Entertainment Group, and
Let's just talk about this. I'm literally chilling on my couch for an interview, which is so cool. I got my feet kicked up. When you said it's informal and you can sit on your couch and chill and have a cup of coffee, I said, listen, I'm ready now. I'm
yeah,
good. I did go to Morehouse. I graduated Morehouse. You have to be careful because, say you went and then you graduated. Some people say, I went to Morehouse. But yeah, I got a lot of I'm originally from Pittsburgh. And when I made my way to Atlanta to attend Morehouse, it was great for me because being a brown kid, a black kid from Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is a predominantly white city and blue collar in general. It's not blue collar as much now as it was when I was growing up, you know, but it 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 had limitations in regards to um, what the mainstream society had for black kids in the arts. Fortunately enough, my mother, um, she had the wherewithal and know-how that this kid that she had, who was kind of more built like a football player than a singer, wanted to sing and wanted to act and wanted to be in plays, which was so contrary to, um, I think my father's initial idea. Like, I think he really wanted me to be a sports guy, which I like sports and I played them. They're just not, it wasn't my cup of tea. And so she would cart me around to auditions and to a place called the Center for Musically Talented, which was a Saturday school where we would go and spend all day. Because I really think she got tired of me singing in the house so much, and it just kind of wore out. Like, she's like, I got to figure out something for this kid to do because he is singing too much. I need my peace. I can't talk on the phone. He's always singing. And so, yeah, after some time in Pennsylvania, I moved to Atlanta and studied at Morehouse and got my BA in communications because I've always had a variety of interest in arts, entertainment, television, all of those things. And I think initially, though I always did theater, I think initially thought I was going to be a newscaster. Back in that day in the '80s, I had a beard, just a black one, not a white one. So I had a nicely groomed beard. I was kind of known for this nicely groomed beard and not this woolly mammoth that I have here. But and newscasters didn't have beards. It was very clean cut. It was maybe a mustache, but it was a different look in the '80s. But also, I just realized that um, news wasn't for me. I graduated and immediately started working at a news station in Washington, D.C., and was in a newsroom for just maybe not even 6 months. And I said, oh, no. I segued back to the arts very quickly. It just wasn't for me.
so talk to me about your company.
Dominion. Well, I have two. Um,
Oh, okay.
uh, I have Dominion Entertainment Group, which is my for-profit production company, which I'd love to talk to you about. But I also, if we have time, I'd like to talk to you about Dominion Arts Foundation, which is my passion project, um, and it has a lot of meaning. So um, I founded Dominion Entertainment Group officially in 2012. So we're not even 10 years old. And in much in part based on the unction of the community and my friends, because we as Black theater makers and artists, we commiserate about a lot of things, opportunity being one,
Mm-hmm.
and finding platforms that are going to produce our works and our treasures and keep the legacy of what we do alive. And I um I had produced Black Nativity in Las Vegas for a few years and lost a lot of money, and my company went under. And I moved back to Atlanta, and I was like, um, I don't know if you know who Mabel Benning is. Anyway, we were at a True Colors play, and ironically, our seats were right next to each other. And I had been trying to get a production up and trying to grasp a production. And at the time, True Colors was producing Black Nativity.
Right.
And I just out of respect for them, I said, I'm not going to try to bring my version and compete with their version. So I think a year or two had passed and we had these seats next to each other. And she leaned over to me just out of blue and she says, Rob, True Colors is not going to do Black Nativity this year. I said, you say, really? So of course I called our friends Lisa and is involved in True Colors, and she confirmed it. And so I used the Black Nativity project as kind of the launching production with no money, like literally no money. And I did a GoFundMe trying to get people to support the idea. I got about $510 in donations, and it was devastating. I was devastated. I was like, no one loves me. Um, and then out of the blue, because I have one foot in education, which I'm sure we'll talk about. One of my former students who has become a very successful professional actor's father called me and said that they had started an investment business and they're looking for arts projects to invest in.
Oh man.
Right. Who'd have thunk it? And he said, you were had such an impact on my kid. Um, do you have any projects you're looking for investors on? And I had to look at the phone because it's who's punking me right now, right? And so they made a modest but significant investment, and we produced Black Nativity and made a little bit of a return. And so Dominion then took other leaps to produce other shows like Jar the Floor, A Lesson Before Dying, just as a way of expanding the opportunities for stage managers, set designers, production managers, actors, you know, specifically of color, but not exclusively, um, so that we can, expand the opportunities. Because quite honestly, one Black theater company in a town as big as Atlanta with almost 55% Black people, it's just not enough theater companies to provide opportunities.
Right.
Um, so that's how Dominion started. We've had our ups and downs. Knock on wood, we have stayed in the Black, and we have muscled our way through a handful of productions over the past 8 years. Black Nativity being the cornerstone production. And I watched this show go from zero to get a mass appeal to last year before coronavirus hit. We were able to celebrate our performance at the Cobb Energy Center. So we went from meager beginnings, but it is a lot of work. And people often have this perception when you utilize marketing
Mm-hmm.
that they don't know the mouse behind the wheel keeping it going. Like they just see the face of the clock, but the hours and sacrifices and the financial losses and the financial investments, and because I'm a self-funded company, I don't receive donations or, sponsorships from your major corporations. Every person that we have been able to employ, and it's been hundreds of people, maybe close to thousands now over the past 8 years, we are proud to say that every dime we paid is every dime we earned.
Wow. So are you saying that it's all ticket sales?
And listen, every when Dominion first started, we paid people with ticket sales. We had nothing in escrow. We threw the rock out and said, and it landed just by the grace of God. We were able to earn enough money in ticket sales to make payroll. We did not have anything in escrow. We did not have corporate sponsorship because we're not a nonprofit. The Dominion Entertainment Group is a for-profit company. And so I didn't know any other way to get to my goal. Maybe I was dumb enough or was willing to take the risk, and people trusted me enough. Thank God, people realized that I'm a man of character to kind of understand that for the greater goal, I'm going to just kind of go out there and say, hey, I'm going to give it a try. And I say this to anybody who, as an adult male, and this is for young people especially, don't be afraid at any age to take a risk and try. Failure is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Not trying is the worst thing that can happen to you. Failure is not an indicator of who you are as a person. It just means you tried. It just means you tried. And I think that if you're a person of character and you have a group of people that are going to walk with you, they know your heart, they know your spirit, they understand what your intentions are, they will roll with you. And all the other people who are just on the ride to try to capitalize on your vision, those people will eventually begin to shed themselves over a period of time.
Right.
And you'll eventually have a really nice core group of people, which I think we have now, that believe in the vision, because it's so important as Black and brown people that we understand, yes, we're doing entertainment. Yes, we're trying to make a living. Yes, we're trying to actually even build wealth, which is not a bad thing.
No.
Right? However, we also have a responsibility to our communities to provide the cultural art and entertainment that's necessary for the next generation. And so it's such a double-edged sword that we carry. We always carry a greater burden as people of color, because there have been so many things in this country that have contributed to the deficits of our community, that we as arts organizations, we really want to fill that gap through the ways we can. And so that's how Dominion came about. We're still around. We are navigating through this COVID thing. And, we have a couple projects on the horizon, and we just hope people continue to support us.
So that's your for-profit. Talk to me about your not-for-profit, your nonprofit.
My labor of love. Okay, so there's no most people who know me professionally and personally know that I've spent about 21 years in the field of education. So I've had one foot in professional performing arts and arts and entertainment, and one foot in a school building.
Right.
And it has stretched me very, very thin. However, the blessing that I have had over these years is that I have had the opportunity to be in the room at the very genesis of some very talented kids that are now adults, Broadway performers, television actors, film actors, that in some part I was able to, with my colleagues, to nurture this thing. And when I developed my production company, one thing that I said, I'm going to bring some kids along because I think they need to shadow professionals. So it asked some of the pros on the shows, do you mind if a kid comes in and shadows you? Can I give you this kid to assist you? So I was, uh, unofficially kind of trying to connect the dots. And I was talking to somebody, I don't know if it was Renee Clark or one of my other dear friends, and they said, Rob, this is a nonprofit, what you're doing. You're just doing it unofficially. You need to make it official.
Mm.
You need to create a foundation that its purpose, its mission is what you're doing, which is connecting, providing platforms and opportunities for young people and not so young people to find gateway and access to arts and entertainment through training and through internships and through workshops and through all of those things. And so I founded Dominion Arts Foundation, and in 2017, we were official. So it's only been about 2, 3 years. And since then, we've been able to finance internships where we sent kids to the Atlanta Black Theater Festival to intern, Southwest Arts Center. We've connected with entertainment lawyers and recording studios, and then COVID hit. But in the short time that we've been in existence, what we've been able to do is marry entertainment and the arts and young people, because we have to train a new generation. And so we are right in the season of going after funds. So if anybody who is listening to this interview that has money that wants to support the children, no, no,
Yeah.
but real talk, I'm not a real good asker, but for this I ask, because this is not anything that's going to directly benefit me as a professional or as a human being, but I do see the benefits for the kids and for the other people, the college age young people that have benefited from this. So yeah, the foundation has been around, and we're proud of it. We're just
I teach as well, and sometimes I find it. Um, I love teaching. I love teaching students who want to do it, but I sometimes find that I'm thrown into situations where they're just getting the kids there. It's not like, the kids they all have to take a drama class. So, and half of them don't want
right,
to. And you just like,
right.
it's I don't even know how do you motivate those people who, or get through that to get to the ones that really want to be there when you got half the class that's not there.
I've had somewhat of an unfortunate advantage than most people who work in the arts. I've never worked at a school that it wasn't a magnet program that the kids had to audition to be there.
Oh.
So very rarely did I encounter a kid who didn't have a heart for what it is. And I do empathize with teachers who are arts teachers that have to whittle through, the whole idea of populating a classroom with kids just so they can take an elective, but 8 out of 10 of those kids are going to give you a hard time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even in where I've had the rare occasion where I've had what they called an elective class, you do find some gems in there, some diamonds in the roughs. You might have to wade through the forest to get them. But so it is challenging, especially in today's age, because there's so many other distractions for young people. I guess I'm at an age where I am not trying to twist your arm for you to be interested in something that could benefit you. So I've had the fortune of working at magnet schools all my life. So all of those kids, and I don't think I would ever do anything else other than that. I would probably have gotten out of education years ago, because I know my bandwidth. I know what my capacity is and my patience and tolerance with what I call OPC, other people's children. See, I, I I,
Yeah, I
yeah,
understand.
yeah. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
Lord knows who to put in the right classroom because, I don't have all the equipment to deal with dismantling certain things, um, because I think it's a privilege to be able to learn about the arts. I think it's a privilege to do the arts. I tell every student that I've ever worked with, it's a privilege to walk in a room and to be able to be creative, have a platform where it permits you to be creative and use your creativity. There's a lot of people walking this earth in mundane situations and jobs that don't get the opportunity to explore their creativity. And you get to do this on a daily basis. Shame on you. That's what I tell them.
Yeah.
But on the other end of that stick, there are some really hungry, talented kids out here. And slight plug, Dominion Arts Foundation is looking for those kids, and let me tell you why. We're right in the genesis stage of our summer camp. Provided COVID cooperates and things calm down a little bit, we are planning to hopefully produce a summer camp called Dominion Arts Broadway Training Institute. It's a musical theater camp, and it's for kids in 4 areas. It's technical theater, music, meaning voice, dance, and acting. And it will all culminate into a full-blown production the last week of the camp. And it's geared towards high school students all around the metro Atlanta area, the best of the best. It is an audition to get in. It is not a daycare. It's not a, let me send my kid over here because I don't want little Ray Ray sitting in the house. No, you keep Ray Ray right with you, unless Ray Ray is ready. But we are looking for the best and the brightest kids from all around the metro Atlanta area who want to be in the camp. We're going to have master teachers that are going to spend 4 weeks of their time training kids at a high level with intense rigor. And so parents who really want to put their kids into situations that they can grow and become better performers, this is going to be the camp. So stay tuned. We'll have more information in March, but
And this is there's a cost for this?
oh yeah, it's a tuition camp, but it's a tuition camp because it's important. Here's the funny thing. uh, we spend money as a community on the things that are important, but we have a tend to devalue the things that have the most impact on us. We try to negotiate down people's time and talent. So you want somebody to spend 8 hours a day with your kid and train them at the highest level, but you don't think it has value. But you will turn around, I'm gonna get on the soapbox, and spend money on things, people, and cultures that do not value you as a culture. When you go buy your hair products, when you go out to the certain mall and buy this Italian thing, they don't know you, they don't care about you, and they darn sure don't care about your kid, right? So we got to change our thinking. We have to become ethnocentric and realize that the things that helped our community grow were the people who stood in the gap. Every elder, every community member, every boys and girls club teacher, every ceramics teacher, every art teacher that stood in the gap and took time with a kid and got them through situations. That's what this camp can be. And I unapologetically confirm the value of what my vision is. My vision for the camp has value. You will have more when you leave out than what you came in with, and that has value. It's an investment, and we need to invest in our kids, but that's a community thing. We'll give you the time, we'll give you the talent for a modest fee, but you think about it, where's a young person going to spend all day for 4 weeks to get a high level of training? Now, some of these camps do have your kids come, but what exactly is the curriculum? What are they teaching them? What skill sets do they come out with, or is it something different? I'm not, dogging out another camp or an idea, but we have a very clear vision, which is a Broadway training intensive, because we really want a kid to come out of there and segue into something else. So it's not just about bringing your kids to the camp and they run around and play and sing a song. No, it, it's far more rigorous um, than that, and it's such a worthwhile, especially for kids in our community, because a lot of times our kids don't get the time and attention that they need to prepare them for like college auditions or professional theater. That some of them don't even know how to walk in an audition. They don't know how to pick an audition song. They don't know, what is the appropriate, behavior when you're in an audition. They don't know the language. They don't know what a, port de bras, or they don't know the terminology. And so we want to bridge that gap. And that's what we do. We bridge the gap.
So you've mentioned COVID a couple times. How has COVID impacted your work, both at Dominion and personally your work?
It just is, it's so frustrating. I mean, last year we had three productions on the docket, one of which was Black Nativity that we were going to do, but we also had a summer production and a fall production. Had to cancel all of those. Um, so what happens when you're a production company and your income keeps your company going, especially the smaller ones, the threads are a little thinner, right? And so you keep doing productions to keep cycling money to keep your production company going. So to cut the middle out of the cake, you don't have any cake. And so uh, it got a little sparse for us, and still it's not great. However, uh, we did figure out a way to get Black Nativity up, and we did a um, streamed production of Black Nativity, which we shot in 3 days, and it took us 7 days to get the whole project done. I know it was bananas.
Oh my gosh.
It was bananas. Cast of 30 people, 4 or 5 musicians, editors, cameramen. In the midst of the coronavirus, in the midst of the pandemic.
I don't
We
even know
had
what that
COVID.
is.
We had COVID testing every day. Like the cast had to come, the crew had to come with a clear COVID test. There was a COVID test on day one, there's a COVID test on day two, and there's a COVID test on day three. And because we wanted to assure that everybody who walked on set was safe
Right.
and felt safe. So we were able to crank out Black Nativity, and we've had a lot of positive responses from that. But it has kind of, as we say up in Pittsburgh, it jacked me up. It jacked us up, and so we've had to kind of downsize and consolidate and sit in neutral until we can figure out what to do. But I do want to talk about with COVID, of course, the Small Business Association is offered out COVID relief money in either loans or grants, mostly loans.
Mhm.
And Dominion was able to receive a loan, which of course we have to pay back, which is never fun, but it is. But also coming up on the horizon, um, allegedly, the Small Business Association is about to do another cycle of grants this time for shuttered theater companies, producing agencies, concert producers that will hopefully fray some of the costs. So people will be able to, in the very near future, register and apply for grants. And these grants are specifically earmarked, and I can't remember how many billion, I think it's $15 billion, specifically earmarked for producing agencies like Dominion or Academy Theater, or that have been adversely affected by the coronavirus. So they'll be able to, hopefully, if things go, get money that they don't have to pay back, because at no fault of your own, you're suffering from this pandemic. So be on the lookout for that, and go to the Small Business Association website. Um, there's some news articles about it, but make sure that if you're a producing agency and you were affected by the coronavirus, that you find every means of government support that you can to offset some of the financial loss that you're experiencing during this time. So yeah, it's been rough.
And with the new strands that are out there, I'm afraid that it's going to, and numbers going up, I'm afraid it's going to last longer than I thought that it was going to.
I'm praying not, and I'm watching very closely the vaccine and seeing how that all rolls out, and cautiously but optimistic. And we'll see. Hopefully, we're hoping by the summer that it gets a little better.
I mean, not only are the creatives being going stir crazy, but I think a lot of the stuff that's happening in our country is because, like, Spike Lee's movie is just hot and or
Yeah,
now cold, but we
yeah.
should
It's bottlenecking.
bottle
It's bottlenecking. It is where the worlds collide, right? So all of the ills of society are colliding at the same time, and it's creating a perfect storm where you've got the pandemic, you've got racial reckoning, which I'd love to talk to you a little bit about. We've got you know uh, all kinds of things that are going on, political silliness, and things that you've never imagined in your lifetime that you would see happen in our government. And so it's creating this um, level of anxiety and tension and frustration where people are not making the wisest choices. I still think people are being reckless, and um, they are contorting what people's health and safety are about, right? Um, I don't think anybody in their right mind that has any sense of logic and just wants to walk around with a mask on their face every day. But also, I don't want to have a respirator on my face either.
thank you.
So I get frustrated when I see people from all walks of life just not like trying to work together to, whether you believe in it or not, let's try it. Let's try a mask. Let's try it, everybody, for like 6 months and see what happens. But now it's just like everybody wants to be defiant, and so we're relegated to, I mean, do you think that major sports agencies, football teams, soccer teams would endure this type of economic loss if this was not a serious threat to mankind? Think about it. People who were making money hand over fist, billionaires, their industry has been affected by this. I want to go see a basketball game one day. I want to sit in the theater again one day. I do. And I don't want to sit in there wondering if I walk out, if 3 days later, I'm going to not be able to breathe. So I'll soapbox that all day. So I pause.
Well, I'm with you on that. I really am. And theater's the only thing that really hasn't opened at all, really.
Right.
Everything else has made an attempt. You know,
Mhm.
sports have made an attempt, and they've put fewer people, or they've put plastic people or something, but they've all made an attempt to reopen in some way. Theater's the only thing
Yeah.
that hasn't.
Yeah. My friend who is a concert promoter, he said he probably won't have another concert until 2022. So imagine your whole business is based on concert promotion, and your last concert was February of 2020. And for a year or two, you just have no income as a business person.
It's scary. It's
Yeah.
very, very scary. Now you said the perfect storm. I think we are at a perfect storm. Everything has come together, um, which I think the coronavirus made it possible in some ways for some of the Black Lives Matters thing to get more attention, because normally, as I've said before, normally, people would go, "Oh, somebody was shot. Let's protest," and they protest Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but they got to get back to work on Monday.
Right.
Because nobody had work. We protested a little longer, and because
Yeah, we had a little more time and attention to,
yeah,
yeah,
so people paid a little more attention. Um, and I see things, some changes happening.
yeah.
I find myself wondering if those changes are permanent, or if, just as in times past, we'll see some changes and then two steps back, a step forward and two steps back. So, I mean, I see in our city, I see people being given positions that were not given positions before in the
Hmm.
artistic community, as well as in the rest of the whole city. People are going, "Oh, the first Black so and so, the first so and so, the first, you
Hmm.
know, first person of color," and
Hmm.
and you're going, "Yes, I think that there are four theaters, or three or four theaters now, that have, administration, in the higher administration now, that are BIPOC people," and I'm like,
Hmm.
"Yes, but is it a phase?"
Okay. You really want to open this can of worms with me, Brenda?
Yes, of course I do.
Because
But I can edit out what you tell me to edit out. But yes.
you ain't got to edit nothing. Listen, one thing, I go to sleep as Robert and I'm gonna wake up as Robert. So you ain't got to edit nothing, not one thing. Okay, so I am cautiously optimistic and slightly side-eyeing all of this right now. I do not have faith and trust in white theater makers in Atlanta or around the world, because um, um, I think that there are a lot of factors in their decision making, of placing people of color. I'm specifically talking about Black people because I'm Black, um, into leadership positions. Um, I think it is valiant, once you've been called to task, that you try to make amends of your um, failures to a community of people that were the backbone of your industry. You know, However, there's a couple challenges, and I'm just going to lay it out there because right now I don't care. One of the uh, white privilege and white oblivion is one of the challenges that Black artists, entertainers, and theater makers deal with in our field. However, one of the other dangers to us really actually being acknowledged and recognized fully is the safe Negro.
Mhm.
And the safe Negro is that Black person that seeks white adjacency, because that white adjacency affirms them. So they make that PWI organization leader, whatever, feel like they've done the right thing. And it's no mystery that we do have Black people that consciously and unconsciously believe that white organizations or white theater makers are the standard. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so finding a convenient choice to, one, stand off or push away some of the backlash that you're receiving, and makes you feel like, oh, now, kind of soothes the need to be the great white hope in certain people's lives.
Mhm.
I I I call BS on that. Yeah. There are some leaders that I'll mention his name, Adaye Moon, who is now the new associate artistic director for Theatrical Outfit. He is unapologetically who he is, and he will speak his mind. And he is, you know, somebody who I admire. and I respect because he doesn't, he has never given me the impression that he's trying to fit in. He's a smart, brilliant guy. He speaks his piece and he tells the truth. He's a truth teller. So that's promising. I mean, that's promising. I think tokenism is also a problem in PWI organizations. Tokenism, where you find one or two, but you're not really trying to shift the dynamic. I experienced that when I went out to work in Las Vegas, where I was hired as the only Black faculty member in a theater department of 6 people. And when they met the real me, they didn't like me. They did everything in their power to root me out, because I challenged them to think outside of their white comfort, their privilege. And I remember having a conversation, and I've said this on a couple of interviews with my colleagues, because they spoken and unspoken, they tried to make me feel lesser than. Now, no one, I have an MFA, not like it's a big deal, but I am degreed in theater, but they treated me like I just had a high school diploma. And like I had to prove myself at every turn. And I couldn't understand, well, wait, what's happening? So finally we had the conversation. I said, I don't know why you think that me as a Black person has to know all about European theater, Bertolt Brecht, Moliere, and all of those things, and then be the expert about Black theater, and you only need to know about Kiss Me Kate. Why? So the roundabout answer is that I'm cautiously optimistic about the moves that Atlanta theater is making. However, have we seen those moves with the major regional theater in the city? Are they shifting that dynamic significantly? And not saying that I just think diversity is key. Like, not just all of a sudden you have to hire Black people because there's racial reckoning or racial unrest with things that involve Black people. But as the article said, and I think Cynthia was the one that they quoted, or that 12% of the theater in Atlanta had Black themes. That's a systematic issue. That's not going to be solved in the summer.
No, it's going to take a long, long time.
Right.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate for you for a second. So you
Good.
said something about, hiring people that fit in. But isn't that what every organization does? Whether they're Black, white, or any other thing, is they want people that work with their organization, that fit into their organization, so that their organization can continue to run smoothly in the way that it has.
Yeah.
So
I
if you're
think
hiring people that don't fit in, you're going to have people that are going to buck the system,
mhm,
and you won't have that smooth ride. It'll be kind of jerky, you know?
mhm. Yeah. So the key word in what you said was the system.
Okay.
And how was the system designed? Is the system designed so that you have privilege?
Mhm.
And fitting in and being the right fit are two different things. You can find somebody who's the right fit that doesn't fit in. And that means you have to expand yourself as a curator of the arts that you say that you love, to go, okay, this person may not fit in, but he's a perfect or she's a perfect fit. So sometimes the system, the organization that used the system to exclude people in the first place has to adjust. You have to adjust and go, step back and go, okay, well, why are they bucking the system? What maybe do we need to look at some of our practices and protocols and procedures, and what is our culture here that doesn't even invite that? Why do we want to label somebody as difficult and ignore that our practices are exclusive. It makes me, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you want to find a fit, but you don't want to find somebody that fits in, because if you just fit in, then you're really not expanding. You're just enveloping yourself into the system and disappearing. And there's plenty of Black folks that'll do that for the opportunity, or to say, I work with this organization, I work with this organization, I don't want to make waves, I don't want to do this. But then how much of a help is that to the greater goals of people of color who have been complaining about the systematic process of being left out? You know, my father's favorite quote is, nothing good comes easy. And if we are really about change, right? Then change is tough. Change is hard. Change is rough. And for the group or the person who has kind of enjoyed the benefits and the privilege of the system that was designed for them, and then you say, I want to change, but I want to change in a way that's comfortable for me. Yes, conversations need to be had. And yes, there needs to be resolution and there needs to be growth. Because just as much as Black people are angry and people of color are angry, white people are scared. They don't know what to do with this.
Right.
They don't know what to do with this. You know, the idea of the well-meaning white person. You
Right.
know, I mean, I know that sounds cliche or tongue in cheek, but you know, there are a lot of oblivious, well-meaning white people that are just haven't taken the time to learn as much about our culture as we have had the responsibility to learn about theirs. So they need to know you have a responsibility. You do.
Right.
You can no longer move forward and reap the benefits of us singing and dancing on stage and kind of muscling through your season and adding culture to your venue for the moment. No, we need to be there 365 Black up in your building, and you need to expand yourself to realize that we have a different rhythm, we have a different language, and it's not bad, it's just different. And if we have to adjust and understand your culture, your language, let's meet in the middle so that there's a deeper richness in what you do, you know?
So what about the people who say, well, if those companies aren't meeting your needs, just start your own.
What you reach
Dominion,
to
yes.
you reach into the choir, you know, I do think, it's so funny because I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, I really don't think I'm in the circle of theater makers in Atlanta. I make theater in Atlanta, but I don't consider myself in that circle, not because of anything other than my journey was just different, is different. And there's a little bit of freedom to that, but it's also a little isolating because one, I'm not a nonprofit. So the plays that I produce are typically for-profit plays, though they are of the ilk of the nonprofit, you know, plays that are produced here. But I I just think that how am I saying this? If if you're not invited, create it. Just create it. Take the risk. Fail. I was reading somewhere this article that was saying that the average very wealthy, successful person has failed at least 10 or 20 times on business ventures. Like they try one, they fail, they try one, they go bankrupt, they try another, they fail, they try another, then all of a sudden something hits and they're like billionaires, you
Oh,
know.
and there's hope still.
Right, right, right. So yeah, I just think that we as a community need to do more of that. We need to come together and Because here's the other thing, and I'm gonna say this, and people are probably not gonna like what I'm say. PWI organizations also rest on the laurels that we do not play well with each other, that we are a little divided as an arts community, Black and brown people. And so they can kind of rest on that. Just imagine if all of the Black arts organizations came together and created something that was tangible, substantial, and that was long lasting, that was beyond our individual needs. It was like when I lived in Las Vegas. There's an area in Las Vegas called Alphabet City where the streets are the alphabets. But most importantly, in that area, almost on every other corner, there's a small storefront church. One block, a storefront church, another block, Bible Way Tabernacle, another block. Like in this whole area, all these little baby churches. And I said, what if all those churches, all those pastors came together and created one big church? I think that's what the Black community needs to do. I think that we need to come together and create a facility that sits in the center of our community, that is of the same ilk of a Woodruff Art Center, but is run and supports Black and brown projects and businesses and creates commerce and arts and entertainment in our community. We have to figure out a way with all of this wealth, all of this Black wealth, and how do we, and I don't know the answer, this is just my feelings. Because if I had the answer, I would say, listen, I'm building a building over here and it's going to be called this, you know what I'm saying? But I fantasize about the day when we're all able to come together for the greater good of our cultural needs and create employment and opportunity for Black people, for brown people, and for the LGBTQ community, these underserved communities. Create entertainment for our communities that they don't always have to go to the Alliance Theater or the Roar. They're both great theater companies. Fine, there's nothing wrong with them, or the City Springs. But what about us? What about us? Where is our shrine of glory? Where is our Apollo Theater, Atlanta? Where is it? I digress.
No, I like what you're saying. So, before we end, is there something that you feel your heart feels like you just have to tell us about, express, or upcoming projects? Just any last words of something for us?
No, I just appreciate you feel like you wanted to talk to me. you know, um, I'm just widely blessed because um, did I imagine 10, 20 years ago that people would see me as a theater maker? Did I see myself in this capacity? No. It was just kind of obligation and responsibility. And by default, I was the dumbest one to run into the room where the fire was. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I just hope and pray that for every artist of color and not of color, that they're able to actualize or have an opportunity to see their dreams come true in some form or fashion, in the smallest form or fashion. For me, I hope to be able to produce more shows, segue into television and film, partner with other organizations, and just build a very strong network of artists and producing agencies. The key word I will say I will leave you with is quality. That is what's most important about whatever you put out. Have the highest standard of quality. And if you don't know that standard, find somebody who you admire and say, that's my standard. Because for me, I would rather not do something than do it bad. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. I just This has been a great conversation to kind of talk it up.
I really appreciate you taking the time. And for those of you out there, please continue to tune in to our series of On the